I just feel like I'm already about to get a lot of backlash for this video, and I just feel like a lot of people gonna have something to say if this video does blow up or if this video does get a lot of views. Now, before I start off this video and tell y'all about it, I just want to say this is no diss to anyone. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. I'm not trying to speak bad about anybody. Um, and I do want to say that I think everything has to have a balance. I think too much of anything is bad. Um, and I'm gonna just say this. I think it's good to be a smart person and to want to learn. But I think it's bad to the point where you separate yourself from other people, or you think you're better than other people because of how smart you are, or because they don't see things from how you see it. Like, I think it's I think it's good to read if that's what you I think it's good to read. I think it's good to try to, like, learn about money, or just learn about, the past and stuff like that. But if you think you're better than, someone who smokes weed all day, or, who's out in the streets, I think that's when it's wrong, because, if you're really smart, you know that we're all just on our different paths of life. So this video is going to be about young Pharaoh, um, and what I think really happened to him. I decided to make this video because, um, this is like, I've seen a lot about young Pharaoh, and I think this is just like the perfect example of what can happen when you're really spiritual, or when you try to study but you don't heal your traumas. So, if you don't know who young Pharaoh is, his name is Marshall Daniel. He's from Buffalo, New York, and he's 31 years old right now. And he's been on YouTube since like 20, he was 22, 21. And he's known for making a lot of spiritual content, making a lot of spiritual content, making a lot of content about black people, and, black people's true power and stuff like that. I didn't really watch him too much. I watched some of his videos, but um, lately, for the past couple of years, I think since 2020, 2021, we hear all type of young stuff about young Pharaoh, like him being on drugs, him being up his baby mom, just all type of stuff. But what I think really happened to young Pharaoh is, I know everyone in the spiritual community is saying, "Oh, the government got to him. The government tried to silence him." But I don't really believe it. Like, I really think, like, because there's so many black spiritual people right now who are just out living their lives. Like, there's someone named Dream Wise, D. Ray Wise, Bobby Hemmett, Brother Panic, Phil Valentine. Who else? Beyond 5D, Von Two Cut, LaRock, Real Chosen. You got all those people. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and there's so many more spiritual people. You got Dolores Cannon. She was white. Y'all probably gonna say, well, she was white, so they're not gonna try to get her. But Dolores Cannon, I mean, like, let me figure out how I'm gonna say it. Cause I don't want nobody to be like, I don't want nobody to think I'm trying to play. But me personally, I think Dolores Cannon, her information, what she was talking about, some very, very advanced stuff. She was talking about soul contracts, NPCs, reincarnation. If anyone, they should have came after her. Who else? Bob Proctor, Neville Goddard. They ain't. I mean, from what I see, they ain't do nothing to him. Carl Jung, and he had some demons. We see, we're gonna get into all that. Carl Jung, spiritual soul, right? He has a big YouTube channel. He's known a lot. He has a lot of followers. Now, me personally, I think some spiritual soul ain't as spiritual as he used to be. I think something happened to him too, but we not really. I mean, we're gonna talk about him a little bit, but mainly about young Pharaoh. So it's a lot of spiritual people, a lot of spiritual teachers, who are talking about a lot of deep stuff and who talk about a lot of advanced topics, but you see them, they're still regular. They not, they're not, they didn't get taken by the government or drugged. So I think what happened to young Pharaoh is because I looked at some of his birth chart. I know a little bit about astrology, but he's a Virgo sun and he's an Aquarius moon though. If you don't know, Aquarius moon, Aquarius are like, Aquarius have very hard lives. I am an Aquarius sun and Aquarius moon, and I don't know if y'all know or if I ever talked about it on this channel. I don't remember, but I have battled with depression. I've still battled with depression a little bit, and I struggled with loneliness a lot, and I felt lonely my whole life. I couldn't go outside as a kid, and I'm not going to tell y'all anymore because I don't want y'all to feel bad, but from what I see, a lot of Aquarius moons have had very tough childhoods and hard childhoods. I don't think I ever met one Aquarius moon who either had a easy childhood or who seemed somewhat normal or sane. Marilyn Monroe had an Aquarius moon. And if y'all don't know, Marilyn Monroe's mom tried to drown her in the tub when she was like 4 or 5. So that should tell you. Britney Spears was an Aquarius moon, and her father was bad. Her father was very controlling. There's this other guy named Astro Finesse. He was an Aquarius moon, and he talked about having crazy strict parents, having a crazy strict mom, and just stuff like that. So, and I think XXXTentacion had an Aquarius moon. I don't remember, man. I don't be having time to keep up with these celebrities, but Aquarius moon, or just Aquarius in general, it's not an easy placement to have. And 9 times out of 10, if you had that placement, you probably had parents who were emotionally distant, very emotionally distant. You probably felt unloved by your parents. You probably felt very alone, like you couldn't really relate or fit in with a lot of people. So, that comes with loneliness, comes with feeling unloved, and, that can drive you crazy. And I looked more into young Pharaoh's life, looked at some of his interviews, and Beyond 5D posted a clip of him talking, and it said what I said. I was right. He said that he was unloved by his mom. He didn't know his dad. He was cheated on by all his girlfriends, and it's probably some more stuff. Growing up in the hood. I couldn't find too much, but it also said, he also said he was kind of like a nerd, but he was in the streets. So just a lot of stuff. So sometimes with spirituality, and this is one thing, because this is what I used to do when I was younger, when I was 17, it's something called spiritual bypassing. And when you spiritual bypass, it's like where you use spirituality and, just astral projection, crystals, and all those type of things to escape from 3D reality. Like you're always trying to know, oh, what's this chakra? What's this name to number? Like you're always trying to learn about spirituality, but like you're kind of trying to distract yourself from like the problems that's going on in your 3D life, right? And I think that's what young Pharaoh did, because even when I look at his videos, it's like I don't know, man. Like, a lot of people just don't look deep into things, but, and I'm not saying he's not a mean person. Like, he seems really cool. He seems down to earth, but it's like when he was around those people, when he was talking to them, it's like he wasn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could kind of feel like, it's like he wasn't really talking to them. He was just talking at them. Like, how can I, like, really, like, how I'm talking to you, right? Like, you say something, I say something. It's like he was almost like preaching at him, but like not really trying to connect to them. And like I said, like I'm not trying to talk about young Pharaoh or say he's a bad person. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say, like, I think young Pharaoh had a lot of potential, but I think that he needed to do some shadow work. He needed to heal some things because I didn't watch too much of his videos, but in the videos I do remember watching, he never talked about like deeper healing. He never talked about like all the spirituality he talked about was all like surface level spirituality, all about or if you would talk about deep things, it'd also be stuff like, the white man doesn't have a pineal gland, or black people black people are the true gods, but never stuff that'll like really help you, like soul contracts. He talked about reincarnation a little bit, but not like how reincarnation really works, like about how you pick your parents, how you pick your life, karma, what else? Why people's childhoods are the way they are. Everything that he talked about that was spiritual was kind of like sciencey in a way, like was really logical. But like I feel like true spirituality isn't really logical, And I feel like another thing is people think this spiritual path is just reading books, meditating all day, and going outside in nature and doing push-ups. But spirituality can be very dark and it can be very lonely, and it can be very confusing. When I say I went through depression, I don't even think it's depression. I think it was like a dark night of the soul. But if you don't know, dark night of the soul is like spiritual depression for spiritual people. But like spirituality can be really dark. I remember from when I was 18 to 21, because the year before that I was 17, something happened with this girl, and it just pushed me into this, like, I already had so much stuff going on in my life because, and that's the thing, I feel like most people who get into spirituality, like, there probably are some people who had a good life and who go into spirituality, but most of the people I met who get into this type of stuff have had dark lives, dark traumatic past, and I was already dealing with so much stuff from 16, but like I said, I started getting into spirituality, started using that too. So at 17, I met this girl, something happened. Basically, it was just so much stuff. So when I turned like 17 and a half, 18, I went into this dark place. I started feeling really disconnected from life. I stopped really feeling a connection to people. It's like a lot of the stuff that I used to like, I just didn't like it. Like, I don't know, man. I just was really in a very dark place. And, while this was happening, I was meditating every day. I knew a good amount about astrology, Egypt, reincarnation. So, eating healthy. So, this spiritual path is not what people tell you. Spirituality can be helpful, and I do think that it can help you become the person that you're meant to be and help you live the life that you truly want. I truly do believe that you can manifest your dreams with being spiritual, but it's a lot of darkness that comes with it at first. It's a lot of lonely nights. I remember at 18, it was to the point where I used to cry every day sometimes. I was very sad. I wish I had the messages, but I remember, one day my friend, she used to go to my high school, but she ended up transferring. But anyway, I remember she ended up texting me about something, or I think I texted her. And she was like, you just be looking so sad, man. She was like, you gotta, fix your face. I remember I worked at this other job, Chipotle. I was 18 still, and there was this one girl, and she was just like, you always look so sad. And people just think like when you're spiritual, you're just this light person, or you're supposed to just be this, like, you're supposed to just be high vibrations connected to God. But and some people do end up getting there, but for a lot of people, it's darkness before that. It's a lot of pain you got to face before that, because if you're truly spiritual, you're really trying to connect with your soul. But sometimes, like, you go through things and experiences that disconnect you from your soul, that disconnect you from your true self, that disconnect you from your happiness. At a young age, you get disconnected from certain parts of yourself because of the stuff that you went through because of the people you know. Some of the people that you met, they might have hurt you. They might have said things that made you feel bad about yourself. You might have had past experiences. So, the spiritual path, a lot of people, I feel like, on the spiritual path either try to kill the ego, like act like they don't have an ego, act like they aren't human, or they just end up thinking they're better than people, think like they know more than people, think that they got to save people. And that's the same mission that the churches, that's the same thing, that's the same way the churches were, you know. They try to make you feel like you're better than people if you live a certain way. They try to get you to look down on people. It's all ego. That's why I say, like, this year I feel like I've been learning a lot, and I feel like me myself, like, I got to find a balance with the spiritual stuff, like, and it's really hard. So, and it's just hard sometimes for, like, what balance, like the balance that I need to find. But no matter how spiritual you are, you're living on Earth. It's like the Earth is just not an easy planet. I feel very lonely sometimes, and it's like it's just hard for me to connect with people. And I feel like with the way we're heading, I don't know if it's because the city I'm in though, because I live in Baltimore, and it's just weird. But we live with social media and just a lot of stuff. But that's besides the point. We're not talking about me. We're talking about young Pharaoh and other spiritual people. But yeah, like I said though, yeah, a lot of people think that this spiritual path is just be vegan, be high vibrational, forgive everyone, love everyone, we're all God. But no, it comes with a lot of demons, darkness, tears, pain, loneliness, depression, like I said. And if you're young, or you don't have no guidance, or you don't have no help, or you just don't have that, just no groundedness, you can lose your mind. I remember there was this guy, I don't want to but he got his life together though. There was this guy, he was light skinned. He went to jail and all. That's what I said, this spiritual stuff, man. Like, people just think spirituality is one thing, but basically, he was light skinned, and like, I can't make it up. Like, back in the day, people used to believe this too. Like, I think he made a video and he said that, like, he only took showers twice a week because the fluoride in the water was bad for your skin. He said too that he was about to stop drinking water and only like he was only about to drink pee because the water, like where they get the water from, and he said that he slept on the floor to help so his kundalini could rise, right? Now, some people do. Now, the pee thing, that might not be too crazy, because some people do say, like, there are some other people who say that, like, if you eat very healthy, though, like, you fast and everything, you drinking pee can have benefits. I'm not going to speak on that, but, like, that one might not be too out there, but, like, some of the stuff the guy was saying, like, it's just, it was just crazy. I think I remember there was this one spiritual guy, and then he used to say that, like, people was watching him. Now he's not like that anymore. He took a break from social media. It was a lot that happened to him, but he did get on the right path. But I give you this example to say that, like, this spiritual path, if you try to follow it too much, or you try to be too spiritual, or you just try to learn more and more about spirituality, you can lose your mind. I be seeing some spiritual people, and, I be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I don't say it because I'm a cool person and stuff like that. But I just be like, in my mind, like, what are you talking about? Like, you sound crazy. And these are spiritual people. So I really think what happened to young Pharaoh is, I don't think that nobody got him. And I think, oh, I just want to touch on Illuminati. Like, even Illuminati, like, before, at first, his spiritual videos were very chill, very down to earth. He would used to talk about, like, what he was going through, smoking weed, semen retention, just like how the school system was out to get us. I mean, how the school system failed us. Just regular cool stuff, like really trying to break us free from the matrix. And, you know, like years later, he's just talking about the same things all the time. Or, what else? How people are bots. And who was it that said white people didn't have a soul? Oh yeah, it was the one spiritual person. Yeah, there was a spiritual. My bad. I don't mean to keep getting off sidetrack, but there was this one. I think there was this one spiritual person that said white people don't have souls. It would just be crazy stuff like that. Like, that's why you can't listen to these spiritual people. Can't listen to every spiritual people, because some of these people do not know what the hell they are talking about. And me personally, if I was getting back into spirituality, I would listen to Aaron Dowdy, Christina Lopez, both white people, by the way, both very spiritual. Dream Wise, Desiree Wise, because I'm telling you, you cannot be listening to even the big influencers who were spiritual, you can't listen to, because a lot of them do not know what they're talking about. But yeah, what else was Illuminati saying in his videos? He would, calling people bots, just a lot of stuff. And I remember he made a video with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend name was Lily. She's really fine. And he didn't say anything mean to her, but like, it was just it was just kind of just the way he acted. Like, it's like he kind of just acted like he was better than her a little bit. Like, and that's another thing. Like, I feel like a lot of spiritual people on this path can end up thinking that they're better than people because the chosen ones, right? They say that name. They say there's something called the chosen ones, or like, and it's people who are basically the people that end up waking up or being spiritual, who, I don't know, I forgot, bro. I don't keep up with this stuff, but some days too, I just be thinking like a lot of people use spirituality as a way to like just feel better about themselves and feel better about the stuff they went through, because I feel like a lot of spiritual people probably felt unloved growing up, probably was bullied, probably went through a lot of pain, right? We don't even know where the pain comes from, or I don't know, some people just want to feel better than people. But a lot of people use this spiritual. It's like how religious people use Jesus and God to feel better than themselves or to judge other people. So, that's my thoughts on young Pharaoh. I hope he, does the shadow work that he needs to do and heal the parts of himself that he needs to heal. If I would tell young Pharaoh, if I could talk to him, I would say, you need to get into your body more, because I really think he's too in his head. And my therapist told me that one time. She was like, you're too logical, you're too in your head, and, you need to feel your feelings more. And I feel like when he talks to people, he needs to like really talk to them and try to connect with them, not just talk at them. And I would tell him that I think he it would be best for him to really to do some type of psychedelics, like, because now I get it. I know y'all are like, if you already saying like, this spirituality can make you lose your mind, but like me, I would tell him to start with micro doses, because shrooms Shrooms can, like, if you take too much, you can lose your mind. But if you just take a little bit, or like maybe under 3 grams of like a cool strain, like Amazonians or Mazapitech, like cool, like strains that aren't too strong, you can really heal stuff. And it can help with depression. It can help with anxiety. I would tell him to do that because, therapy is cool. I really think he does need like a therapist. I would tell him to see someone like Blaylock, D. Ray Wise, one of those people. But um, that's what I would tell young Pharaoh. But I truly just think that he needs someone to help him to talk to about the stuff that he went through when he was growing up, about feeling unloved and, the trauma and pains that he went through. But this is what I think happened to young Pharaoh. That's where I think he lost his mind. And yeah, if you're new, you're young, you're about to start a spiritual journey, or you're trying to get into spirituality, stay off of social media. Stay off of social media, because these people will lead. These people do not know what they're talking about, and these people will tell you some BS. We all fell for it. Do not drink pee. Do not sleep on the floor. Skin color is just skin color. Some people do have souls. Some people do have souls. Soulless people come in all races. Don't cut off your friends. Don't cut off your friends. Don't think you're better than people. And listen to the spiritual people I told you to listen to. Do not be listening to every spiritual person out here, because they do not know what they're talking about sometimes. But see y'all.